Have you ever felt that nagging suspicion, that little voice in the back of your head telling you something's not right in your relationship? I did, and it turned my world upside down. My wife Sarah and I had been married for 10 years. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I always believed our foundation was solid. We were best friends. That's why the change was so jarring. It started subtly. She was on her phone more often, smiling at texts. But when I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd just say, "Just a friend." The late-night typing, the phone angled away from me on the couch. It all started adding up. I tried to ignore it, telling myself I was being paranoid. I didn't want to be that jealous husband, but the distance between us grew into a canyon. Our conversations became superficial, and the easy intimacy we once shared felt forced, then disappeared altogether. The breaking point came one evening when she was in the shower. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, and a message flashed on the screen from someone named Alex. It said, "Can't stop thinking about our conversation today. You get me like no one else does?" My heart sank. It wasn't just a friend. This was something more. I confronted her that night. At first, she denied everything, calling me insecure. But when I mentioned Alex's name, the facade crumbled. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed. Alex was a coworker. "It started as a work friendship," she said, venting about office stress, but it grew into something deeper. They shared secrets, dreams, and vulnerabilities, things she hadn't shared with me in years. She swore it was never physical, but the words emotional affair hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. To me, the betrayal was just as profound. She had given a part of herself, a part I thought was reserved for me, to someone else. The trust that had been the bedrock of our marriage was shattered. I was devastated. I felt a mix of anger, hurt, and profound sadness. How could the person I loved most do this? For weeks, we lived like strangers in our own home. I considered leaving, thinking the damage was irreparable. The thought of starting over was terrifying, but staying felt like accepting a lie. We were at a crossroads, and both paths seemed to lead to heartbreak. One night, unable to sleep, I found Sarah crying in the living room. She looked broken. She told me how lost she'd felt, how our connection had faded long before Alex came along, and how she used that new attention to fill a void instead of talking to me. It wasn't an excuse, but it was the first honest conversation we'd had in months. We talked until the sun came up, laying all our cards on the table, the loneliness, the resentment, the unspoken needs. We made a difficult choice, to try and rebuild. It wasn't easy. We started couples therapy. It was raw and painful, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our marriage. We learned to communicate again, not just about daily logistics, but about our fears and hopes. She cut off all contact with Alex, and I worked on letting go of my resentment one day at a time. It's been over a year now. The scar is still there, a reminder of how fragile trust can be, but we're different people. We're more intentional, more present with each other. We learned that a relationship isn't something you build once and leave standing. It needs constant maintenance, honesty, and effort from both sides. Our journey isn't a fairy tale, but it's real. We fell, we broke, and we are slowly, painstakingly putting the pieces back together. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, remember you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button for more real-life stories.